This is take two from the artistic bombing crew. Started graffiti in 1983, joined ABC in 84, founded the Mad Crew, and then joined the Federation, or the FEDS, which was ABC, MPC, and TCP.
Who were some of the early writers that you met early on? People who were active in the scene, whether we're in different crews or just kind of solo writers. Any names of people come to mind?
Sure, when I started to do graffiti, just like breakdancing, I didn't know anybody else that was doing it. You would start to see things on the buses. So we all rode the bus back in the day. And so you'd start to see names that traveled along. The first time I saw what I could easily distinguish was not gang graffiti was Peely, right? He had a style. We're taught in school to angle our letters to the right. Graffiti artists angle them to the left, and gangbangers write them straight up and down. So you immediately saw it. I was like in a chiseled marker. So Peely and Defsky, Peely was from the Crowd Pleasers, he passed away a few years ago, rest in peace. And the other guys were from MPC. And those are actually the guys that ABC and MPC and TCP got together and became the Federation later on. But those were the first graffiti writers. And then Hate from ACW, who also passed away. He passed away in 89. His was the first time I actually saw another graffiti writer. I was both riding the bus, and all of a sudden I saw him. He got up, and I was like, hey, there's a tag there. And I went to try to chase him down, but I couldn't catch him. But later on, we became really good friends. But those were some of the early graffiti writers. South Side would be like ACW, Chumley. You've got Fesky Fess as well.
When did you meet Trickster and ORKO and Slang and those guys?
B-Boy B and Trickster both went to Lane Tech. And he recruited Trickster, B-Boy B recruited Trickster into ABC. And Trickster's from the West Side, so he gave us a little bit more connections to other parts of the city. And he introduced us to ORKO, because he knew ORKO from the South Side. And he also introduced us to Slang. Slang was also from the North Side, but we hadn't really met him. So Trickster was brought in and I met him through B-Boy B. But Trickster was also a breaker. So and that was the thing, when we did hip hop, we would do multiple things in hip hop. We didn't, because that wave hit us all at once. The New York graffiti writers, they started in the 70s. They were kind of their own thing. And then, the B-boys came a little bit later, and same with the DJs. And so when we got the wave, it was all the same. So we just connected with people that were just really interested in hip hop culture. And Trickster was one of those people that brought, and still to this day, brings different people from hip hop together.
Do you remember meeting Rodney, ORKO, Wade?
Yes. The first time I met him was actually at the All City meeting in Chicago. We wanted to get a little bit more organized because everybody was painting, and we wanted to start painting trains a little bit more. Rodney, who was still from the South Side, he got in touch with a North Side writer named Warp, who was out of Cabrini Green. And they put together the very first All City meeting. It was very Warriors-like. Like, you brought in like 4 or 5 people from each crew. We all got together. They had people waiting from the neighborhood, because it was just outside of Cabrini Green, where at a park where we were going to meet. Not safe for you to go. And so they had escorts that would take us from the train station that was nearby over to the park so we could all meet. And so that was the first time that I met ORKO.
Do you remember what other crews ORKO was a part of? I know it was MPC, the Feds, and you said even possibly MOSA?
Yeah. Wonderful thing about ORKO is whenever he would paint, he would throw up whoever his friends were at the time. So every time I saw one of his pictures of his pieces later on, I'm like, who actually was here? Because you don't know. He threw up everybody. So I seen him throw up MOSA. He did a MOSA piece. He was in Masterpiece crew. He was in the Federation. He actually brought MPC to San Francisco, hooked up with guys there, and they had an MPC out there. And so that was also one of the interesting things about him, is that he actually brought that Chicago style and that energy and the productions that we were doing to San Francisco. They had a vibrant scene there, but he was able to bring what Chicago was doing at the time and influence a lot of people out there, especially with the MPC crew.
What do you think it was about ORKO that kind of made him stand out?
One of the ways that many of the ways that he stood out, but for me, one of the ways is when you were with him, he brought such a passion and an energy to every time you were talking with him. It's like you're the only two people, right? Like in the world. And so, and he was very interested in what you were doing. And he was also very interested in talking about what he was doing. He was very proud of what he did. But in that moment, you were just together. The last time I was with ORKO, was at the Battle for the City here. It was last year in 2023. And he saw me and I walked up to him and he goes, "Oh, wait, I got somebody I want you to talk to." And he takes out his phone. He dials a number. He hands me the phone. And so I go and I take the phone and I'm like, "Scheme," right? And so I'm like, "Hello?" And so he knew that when Scheme was in town, I had never had a chance to talk to Scheme from New York. And so he just called him. And by the way, Scheme answered his phone call. So right away, and I thought I was going to be ORKO. And he's like, "Hey, what's up, Ork?" And I just introduced myself and talked to him. And it was really great. But he was like, he would do that. He would do that for you. You know what I mean? He would see that you could benefit with something and he would want to show you. Even the guys from MPC were like telling me that, oh, he was bringing books that he had read recommending to them that they should read this about different types of art theory. And so just on a human level, when you were with him, your life was better. And as an artist, you made things better. On top of the fact that he was just so dope and he had a style that influenced generations. And you can still see that in a lot of graffiti today, the things that he was pioneering back in the 80s.
So there's a tribute event coming up, a celebration of his life. April 6th, is it?
Yeah, we're doing a celebration of life for ORKO on his birthday. So he would have been double nickels 55 on April 6th. Unfortunately, yeah, he passed away in December of last year. We're bringing friends, family is flying in from out of town. We'll have break dancers. We're going to have DJs. We're going to be showing off a bunch of his artwork, as much as we can gather in a short period of time, sculptures, paintings that he has done, canvases, sketches, as well as we have a bunch of artists that are bringing tribute art that they created specifically for this event to honor ORKO. So a dozen or so artists from Chicago will be exhibiting there as well. Trickster is going to do a slideshow and a presentation on ORKO's impact to graffiti, both here and out on the West Coast. We'll be doing a memorialization. Pengo will be leading that, and we'll hear from family members and close friends about it. It's a celebration of life, so it's not meant to be somber. It's going to be a party. It's going to be at the Harpin Arts Center in Chicago, on Milwaukee Avenue and Diversey, from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m.
So if people want to come out and support this, how can they find out more information?
Sure. The best way is, unfortunately, through word of mouth. We don't have a website for it, but you can follow me on Instagram, Take2ABC, TAKE, the number 2 ABC, posting regularly about the event with information. So if you need to get the address, the times, if you want to come and just learn about ORKO's life and see the artwork, you could come later, to come at 6 o'clock and on for that. If you want to watch, including the breakers, if you want to be involved in the memorialization, have some food, hang out with the family and talk to them and get to meet them, then you would come at like 3 p.m.
I want to get your take on what his legacy will be.
ORKO's legacy. The good news is like it's strong. Like so much of his influence is in my art, in Trickster's art, in the other artists in Chicago. And so that's number one. His artistic creativity is going to be there. He was mixing and doing a lot of other media with like sculpture and paintings and things like that. That legacy is also being brought into that next generation. And I think helping people to like bridge the gap between other aspects of hip hop. I'd love to see pictures of Rodney DJing, for example. So he did it all. Like he rapped, he DJ'd, he breakdanced, he did graffiti, he did all the elements. And that knowledge element and that community element as well that's there. That's his legacy. We have all city meetings and we had them through the ages and we'll have them in the future because of him. So his impact is felt on multiple levels, multiple communities.